Welcome to Kempton Math. This is Algebra 2, Unit 1, Lesson 2, Operations of Polynomials, Day 2. So today, for the first two questions, we're going to focus on a little formula here that deals with profit, revenue, and cost. So the formula is profit is equal to revenue minus cost. So for question 1, we are given our revenue, we're given our cost, and we want to know what our profit is. So I like to kind of condense it a little bit. I like to kind of say P is equal to R minus C. I tell my students to memorize that, and we like to say people really care, PRC. Okay, so we have P is equal to R, which is x times 5x minus 2, minus our cost. It's important that we put parentheses around this because anything after a minus sign we know is going to change. So everything after this will change. All of the signs will change. And we also have to distribute this x. So we're going to go ahead and multiply x times 5x, which is 5x squared, x times 2. And now we're going to change this to a negative, change this to a negative, change this to a negative, and change this to a negative. Now we have all our terms. We're going to start with our term that has the largest exponent. I call this the line leader. This is what's known as the leading coefficient. Okay, now we have any terms with an x squared. So 5x squared minus x squared is a positive 4x squared. And we have a negative 2x and a negative 3x. Those combine to a negative 5x. And then lastly, we have that minus 100 at the end. And that is our profit. All right, next question. We have a P, we have an R, and we want to find our C. So again, I'm just going to set up the little formula here. People really care. So we're actually given a P, so our P is going to be on the left side of the equal sign. So I'm going to write this over here on the left side of the equal sign. Our R is on the right side of the equal sign. And we are looking for our cost, which we do not know. So this is a little bit different because we need to move everything over to one side in order to isolate our C. We want to get C all by itself. So I'm going to put a line down the middle of our equal sign, and I'm going to move everything from the right side to the left side. And whenever you move anything over the equal sign, the sign has to change. That's called the inverse property. So if I have a negative 2x squared, I'm going to change it to a positive 2x squared. And I'm going to put it underneath its like term. So I'm going to put it under the negative 4x squared. And what you'll notice is that that's just going to cancel out because that's equal to 0. Now I also have a 50x, so the opposite is a minus 50x. I'm going to put that underneath its like term. And now I'm ready to go. So these are equal to 0. When we bring the C down, just be careful because it has a negative in front of it. I can't get rid of that negative just yet. So now let's go ahead and see what we have on the left side. I have negative 4 plus 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is going to give us a negative 2, and then I have x squared. 200 minus 50 is 150. And then I'm just going to drop that minus 100 down. Okay, so this is equal to negative C. I don't want it equal to negative C. I just want it equal to C. So what's really going to happen is I'm going to divide by -1 because that will get rid of that negative. So when I divide by -1 on this side, everything is really just going to change. So a negative divided by negative becomes a positive. We have that positive 150, but because we're dividing it by a negative, it changes, and this will change as well. And now I have my final answer. All right, question 3. Are these expressions the same? So this goes into what we talked about yesterday, a little bit about multiplying. So for part A, this is what's known as standard form. Standard form is just when there's no parentheses and it starts with the highest exponent. So there's nothing I can do with that one. But for problem 2, I'm going to multiply these. Now the reason why I'm going to multiply them is that there's no sign in between, and when there's no sign in between, it's multiplication. So let's see what happens here. If I set up my box, x plus 5, x minus 1, again, it doesn't matter which side you do, but when you multiply these out, you're going to get x squared, smush these together to get 5x, smush these together to get -x, and this is -5. So when I add these like terms, I'll start with my x squared. I have a 5x minus x, which is 4x, and then I'll have a -5. So what you'll notice is that that's actually the same thing as A. Now our last problem has a squared. Squared means to multiply twice or multiply by itself. So if I kind of rewrite this, this is really just saying x plus 2 times x plus 2, and then I have a -9. So x plus 2 times x plus 2 is really just the box. I'm just multiplying it twice. So when I multiply this out, I will have like terms, 2x and 2x. So I have x squared plus 4x plus 4, but don't forget, I still have that -9, and a plus 4 and a -9 are like terms. So that becomes a -5. So what you'll notice is that all 3 of these are the same. Moving on, we have 2 more questions. Question 4 says, express in standard form. So I see parentheses and I see no sign in between them, so we have to multiply. But this one has 3 terms. Terms are just connected by plus or minus signs. I call them blobs almost because they're just numbers and variables connected by plus or minus signs. So in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and draw a box, but I'm just going to draw a larger box. The reason why is because I have a larger polynomial. So does not matter if you put this on the top or on the side, but I'm just going to put it on the top and put my x plus 3 here. So when I multiply my boxes out, I'm actually going to have an x to the 3rd now. I'll have an x squared, I'll have a 3x, smush all these together, smush and smush. So now I'll have these as like terms, the x squareds, and I'll have the x's as like terms. So I'll start with x to the 3rd. I have that 4 plus 3, which is going to give me a 7. I'm just adding them together. I'll have that 3 plus 12, which adds up to a 15, and then I have the x, and then lastly I have the 9. All right, and then the last question, again, we're expressing in standard form. We just have a lot going on here. We have a 2 in front, so I am going to be multiplying that, but we have to be really careful with this minus sign. Now, a lot of people think that I should automatically be distributing that negative, but that's actually incorrect. The reason why it's incorrect is because I have to multiply this first. If we go way back, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, subtraction and addition are at the very, very, very end. Multiplication actually comes first. So I have to multiply this before I do my minus sign. All right, so I can multiply the 2 first. That's fine. I'll have 2x squared minus 10x plus 8. But over here, I have to go ahead and multiply this. If you want, you can kind of do it on the side. That's totally up to you. So if I kind of bring it, let's say over here, just to keep it a little bit neater, I have x plus 3, x plus 2. So this is x squared, 3x, 2x, and a 6. And these together will make a 5x. So now I can bring it over here. But I have to make sure that I keep that negative there, because now that subtraction sign is going to change everything after it. So there's a lot going on here. So let's bring down our 2x squared. And let's bring down our minus x squared minus 5x minus 6. All right, now we're ready for like terms. So I have a 2x squared minus x squared, so that's going to just become a 1x squared. I have a negative 10x and a negative 5x, which will add to a negative 15x. And then lastly, I have my 8 minus 6, which is a 2. And there it is. Thanks for joining. I will talk to you soon. Bye.